Guard man the barricades, patrol the cover boundary. At last the time has come, this is a cricketing emergency. Hear this call to arms for every cricket revolutionary. Take up your bats and stumps for the test match insurgency. At first they tried to silence us, but we would not be silenced. They threatened us with lies, so we threatened them with violence. Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket. It's not about the winning, it's about how many rules you break. Even in cricket commentary, this is the best advice to take. Pick guerrilla cricket, it's the finest choice you'll ever make. There's so much more to cricket than rev counters and a slice of cake. At first they tried to sanitize us and clean up our act, but people like it filthy, and we know that for a fact. Fidel Castro, Lenny Pascoe, Carlos the Jackal, Umar Akmal, Mahatma Gandhi, Grant and Andy, Brendan Behan, Austin Ian, guerrilla cricket. Stick with us, cause you know we're not the kind of thing that you see on the TV and the radio. So vive la revolution. First they tried to buy us, but we would not be bought. Okay, we were, but then we ran away, and we will not be caught. Would not give up the ghost when they left us all for dead. They decapitated us, but we just grew another head. Chairman Mao, Jamie Howe, Ho Chi Minh, Asif Din, Václav Havel, Graham Saville, No Surrender, Percy Fender, Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket.
The rain in Grenada falls mainly on the National Cricket Stadium St George's, which means it's a late start for all of us. 45 overs a side only. However, we have a series on our hands. It's 1-1 and all to play for. Good morning, good afternoon, good dawn, good dusk, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Guerrilla Cricket. I'm Guerrilla Hendo, Nigel Henderson, and alongside me I have men of wisdom in various garbs of cricketing type. It's a lovely red Guerrilla Cricket t-shirt, which you can get from the merchandise store, is adorning Martin Whiteroy to my left on the tweets.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. And on my right, actually, well, let me... just denim, basically.
San Andreas Police Department Cryo Division t-shirt.
Yes, because it's very important that we promote them, I would say. Very much so. Anyway, we have cricket shortly, and... well, England have got to put the game behind them. The second game at Barbados, where they lost by 26 runs when they really should have won from the position they were in. But we have to say, Sheldon Cottrell, what a man. Took 5 wickets, and well, in the process, he produced a wonderful celebration.
The worst celebration in world cricket.
You think it's the you have now newly named it the worst celebration in world cricket? Yes. Whereas everyone else is saying it's the best celebration.
What are we celebrating exactly?
I don't know, and we're celebrating him getting very excited and then doing a salute.
No, I mean, yes, exactly. Why do we think that's good?
Because it's different and no one else has done it yet. Apart from Marlon Samuels, of course. If you went out and made
a Nazi salute, it would be different. It wouldn't be good, though.
Now, there's an idea. Now, that would be curious.
That would get you some publicity.
That would get some publicity, wouldn't it? Absolutely right. Well, I should tell you all the team news. All the team news is that the West Indies are unchanged from Barbados, the second match, which means they go with John Campbell, Chris Gale, Shea Hope, Hetmeyer, Bravo, Holder, Braithwaite, Bishu, Nurse, Cottrell, and Shane Thomas, who is very much a big unit. England, well, poor old Ben Stokes has rolled his ankle. Oh, poor old Ben. Ben, don't hit anything. Which means he is replaced by Alex Hales, who will bat, we understand, at 3. So it's Roy, Bairstow, Hales, Root, Morgan, Butler, Moeen Ali. Chris Wokes comes in for Tom Curran, Adil Rashid, Liam Plunkett and Mark Wood. As I said, we've got a 45-over-a-side game to come, and England have won the toss and have put West Indies into bat, which is, I think, pretty much what they did in Barbados. Any thoughts, chaps? Any thoughts? What have England got to do? Just be better than they were the other day? Not collapse?
Not collapse. Look, you have to be reasonable. England wins 75% of their ODIs, which is very, very good.
Right.
But simple maths, that means they're going to lose 25%.
But when they do lose, they lose them really, really badly, Martin. Why is this? What is it? Is it just that you've got a particular... the way that they play, that if they all just suddenly... it all goes wrong on one particular occasion, that it will look particularly poor?
I think it's a direct approach of the way they bat. It either goes well or it goes to absolute hell in a handcart.
But they would suggest that it goes well more often than it goes badly.
Yes.
I mean, absolutely. What I was just about to say is something along the lines of it doesn't really matter how, and to some degree it looks like that because that's the way they quotes the way they play. Look, there was an article about... we could talk about Chris Gale, who's coming out to open.
Yes.
And his approach of going a bit more slowly earlier on, and then in the last 2 games, trying to be the batsman the team bats around.
Yeah.
I'd say if you have to do that in modern ODI cricket, you've got a problem.
Right.
The best teams just don't have to do it. They don't have to bat around someone. Doesn't mean they win every game, but England are winning more games than anybody else. Because they trust them, because they have a middle order they can trust. It's not just about putting that trust in. They have to be good as well.
Well, the whole team is basically a middle order, isn't it, really?
Almost entirely, yes. Almost entirely.
And you wouldn't say that Jason Roy and Johnny Bairstow are generally the opening batsmen that you would go to. But it's a white ball, yes, absolutely. Yes, they are. They are. And, of course, you've got no slips, or if you've got one maybe at the beginning. And, you can fly outside the off stump a lot more than you would in other forms of the game.
Well, I was just thinking that with Gale, when he's hit big runs in the IPL, more often than not, he's tended to have a slowish start, and then he's just gone bonkers after that. And he seems to have taken that game plan into the last couple of matches. And the thing is, it's all very well if he does then tee off and score loads of runs, then the team benefits. It's if he has a slow start and then gets out, they're bollocks, don't they?
Well, didn't we also used to say this? I mean, it seems bizarre to put Chris Gale alongside Jonathan Trott, but isn't that really what England did with Jonathan Trott? I mean, you'd actually look at the end of his innings and you'd see he'd got 94 of 103, and you'd say, oh, he's done quite a good job, but actually he got sort of 30 of those last runs in the last 10 balls. Early on, he was also perhaps too slow, put pressure on the other people.
I don't think he was quite as second gear then fifth gear as Gale. He was maybe third gear and then fourth gear.
Yeah.
But again, the point is that England do not need someone to play that role. And England, I think, are just going out and saying, right, we're going to score 8 and over in the power play, 6 and over in the middle overs, and 10 and over off the last 10. And I worked that out before I came in, and that's 360.
Exactly, which is what they had to chase down the other day in the first ODI when West Indies got 360, Gale got 135, Hope 64, and England chased it down with Roy 123, Joe Root 102. But Joe Root also, doesn't he play that role to a certain extent of being played around?
He's still scoring a run a ball, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he's doing what number 3 needs to do. Well, we're not going to start straight away.
Well, it's looking like they're just as we thought we were about to get cricket, we've now seen the scene again, and the big blue tarpaulin is just off to the left of the pitch, as if they're not quite sure whether to drag it off yet, in case another shower is coming across, which would be very, very irritating for all of us.
I mean, it looks sunny enough. It's a bit
strange. It does look sunny. Get out there and play. I mean, they've been running around in the outfield for a while, haven't they? I mean, if you can play on the outfield, you can play presumably in the area that's actually been covered more than that.
I've played Saturday cricket in Yorkshire, and if we didn't play in games like this, we'd never get on.
Because it never stops raining in Yorkshire.
No,
it never stops raining.
No, but the thing is, they make it in Lancashire and send it across.
Oh, send it across. That's right. It comes over the Pennines, doesn't it? Actually, that just reminds me. I've been watching a thing called The Killing. Have you seen The Killing?
No. Is that one of those Netflix things?
Yeah, it's a Prime, Amazon Prime thing, and it's set. This version, it's not. The original was a Danish, I think, production. This is transported to the US, and it's based in Seattle. And in every scene, it's absolutely pouring down. Anyone from Seattle out there? Does it always rain in Seattle?
Is it like Blade Runner, or it's just raining the entire film?
Pretty much, yeah. It just seems to be raining, but not just drizzling, raining quite hard, you know.
Yes.
Can tell. The highest score at this ground is South Africa's 356 against the West Indies in April of 2007, which would have been during the World Cup.
It was a World Cup game.
Probably, yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So there are 3 scores in the 300s, and everything else is in the sort of lowish 200s.
Right.
But ODI cricket has changed a lot in 5 years.
That is very true.
That is very true. And of the game, the last game that appears to have been played here, West Indies scored 247 against Bangladesh.
Ooh. And what did Bangladesh get? Did they win it?
I will have a look. Look that
247 is not a big score in a one-day international
West Indies
season.
won by 177 runs. So Bangladesh was 70 all out.
Oh my God, 70 all out. Now that is a collapse. That's amazing stuff. Yes, it's they are trying to spread these games around a little bit. They've got 2 games in Grenada. They've had 2 games in Barbados, and they go to St Lucia for the final one. But I mean, just great centres of cricket such as Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad, all missing out.
Is this because they're not as good? I mean, the whole thing has been scheduled for English tourists.
Yes,
locals,
which is a
hasn't it?
sad thing in a way, isn't it? It's kind of, you feel like, it makes you think if there wasn't England, there'd be no cricket. Or no one would be watching cricket anymore. It's only English people who watch cricket, and if we can't watch it here, we go elsewhere to watch it, basically, and then nobody else is bothering. It's depressing.
It's a difficult choice if you're an administrator over there, isn't it? 'Cause you want the thing to be a commercial success.
Yes.
And that would obviously tend to make you pander towards the tourist market. But at the same time, I can understand them saying, right, well, let's send some of the cricket out to some of the outlying places and try and spread the love a little bit. Not only is it going to send cricketing funds to those places and develop interesting cricket in those areas, but also try and force some of the tourism out there as well, maybe.
Yeah, no, I mean, I absolutely understand it. I mean, but I do find it strange. I mean, Jamaica's still a big area for English tourists, I think. So I don't understand why Jamaica's been left out completely of the equation. I mean, maybe it has to do with the makeup of the cricket board itself and where those individuals come from. I mean, they always talk about, you know, parochialism in the West Indies, and not just in the West Indies, in some other parts of the world as well.
There are no parochial counties in England. Can't think of any at all.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So it's tricky, but I just feel like, you know, a centre like Jamaica really. I mean, Kingston, Jamaica should have a game. It should have a game of some sort, surely, in a series. And if not, something seems to be missing, as far as I'm concerned.
Could it be based on pitches? In other words, try and avoid all the slow pitches for the ODIs?
I don't know. I mean, I actually thought the Barbados pitch for the second ODI was quite sticky. The first one, the ball seemed to be coming onto the bat quite well. The second one, I mean, the scores were that much lower. And I think we did notice that the ball seemed to be sort of sticking in the middle a little bit. So, I don't know. I mean, there's just been a thing about West Indies pitches for the last, 10, 15 years.
They don't have drop-ins, do they?
Don't have drop-ins, as far as I know. But also, you know, they had these incredible pitches, didn't they? These incredibly quick pitches for the great fast bowlers in the day. But what has suddenly happened?
I was just going to say, what's changed from
in terms of actual producing of pitches?
They
Yeah, I don't
haven't
know.
got 4 people capable of bowling 94 miles an hour anymore. So
Yeah,
it
but
doesn't suit them so much.
But it wasn't. We didn't look at those and think the ball's still going through quite low relative to the speed and the pace they were bowling.
Sometimes they did.
So, are we saying that they're producing slower pitches because they haven't got the fast bowlers, or have the pitches just changed in nature? I mean, does soil as a pitch, does it have a lifespan? You know, so many years and it's knackered.
Well, you have to ask Alistair Cook about that, because he is the soil expert. You know, he is the soil expert. He reads books on soil.
He's a bookworm then.
He's very, very good. Yes, he is, absolutely. It's a good point. Well, now, England have won the toss and chosen to bowl. We're just looking at the teams now. We're still not quite sure when we're going to get underway.
Well, we have some weather updates.
Okay.
The first weather update is from NACL that says restart at 11:45, 3:45 GMT if there's no more rain. The second weather update comes from Lou Britton Sack, Cave Llewellyn. It rains in Seattle all the time. I've
Oh,
been
does
up
it?
there several times. Beautiful city, annoying NFL fans.
Well, it's a shame. If you go to a place that's beautiful, then it rains the whole time. That's
That
disappointing.
doesn't look too good. I mean, you're never
Oh,
quite
no,
sure if
that's-
things are live. If
No.
it was a
No.
live picture,
That isn't good.
if that was a live picture, you had the cover on the full square and a very horrible amount of rain on a nearby mountain. So
Yes, it
didn't
looked very
look
misty,
great.
didn't it? It did look misty, so that's not incredibly encouraging. So the thing is, you're going to have to keep us going by tweeting us and
Yes,
asking us
tweet
things.
in.
Has anyone done such a thing?
No, we have no tweeters.
This is incredible. What is
It's
going on out there, people?
Uncharacteristic. You're letting us down, guys.
You are
Come on.
pathetic. You are pathetic. You're a disgrace to us. You're a disgrace to cricket, and quite honestly, you're a disgrace to yourselves.
But please tweet in.
But please tweet in anyway. Yeah, if you don't mind. I suppose. Well, I was going to talk about the GPL, but there's probably no point in plugging the GPL until we get started. You don't often find that too many people take part in the GPL in one-day games for some reason. I don't quite understand that. Maybe it's more difficult.
We were just hearing Nestler's tale of woe in the green room.
Oh
weren't
yes, we were. What was it? He was saying that he was going to back he went into the GPL on the Afghanistan. Was it the
Afghanistan Ireland game, the T20, put in a total of something like 280.
And Afghanistan got it in one innings.
Yes.
Yeah, that's. He
so
was
it
a long
wasn't
way
one
off.
of those close losses, tales of woe.
No, not really. Well, actually, maybe we can talk about Afghanistan and Ireland. If people have been watching that series, it's been very difficult to pick up because it's on all sorts of unusual channels like Afghan One and various streams. I saw the first game, and Ireland put up a pretty good effort in that after really struggling early on, getting to about 60 for 6. They managed to get a competitive target of 132, and Afghanistan were well behind it at one point, or were in similar straits at around about 60 for 6, but managed to pull it off. So just that little extra experience of playing at this level, I don't know, with Afghanistan. I think Afghanistan have got more of a settled team. Ireland, as we said, they've got a very good upper order like Sterling and O'Brien, but then as you get down to 5 or 6, maybe players who haven't played a lot of T20 cricket.
A good team is a settled team in many ways. Having a look through that Ireland team, I thought, well, obviously they are going to have to replace the players of the generation that got them into Test cricket and the sort of onto the world stage sooner or later. But I'm still seeing an awful lot of the same names: Sterling, Kevin O'Brien, Boyd Rankin, Balbirnie, Dockrell, all these guys. So you wonder if they have the players coming through at the moment.
Yeah, you do hope that we've got a man called Get Kate, and if you're called Get Kate, I mean, you should get a place in any team really at international level. But yeah, and then of course on Saturday, Afghanistan set a record total 278. It must have been incredible to watch that. If you were listening to that or even watching it, what did you make of it? I think Ireland made a pretty good fist of it, but was still sort of 80 or so runs off the target. That's incredible. 278 in a 20 over game. That's absolutely phenomenal.
I did see Ireland were 400 to 1 at the break, and I still wouldn't have backed it.
And you didn't back them?
I still wouldn't have backed it. No.
But apparently they were up with the rate at one point, or they were ahead of the rate.
Or 410 balls or something.
Okay.
I think Nestle Boy was
exaggerating somewhat.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know, but I think Afghanistan, could they be a threat in this World Cup in the summer?
I think they'll upset one or two people.
Oh, they're bound to get a couple of results, yes, but I honestly can't personally see Afghanistan, West Indies, no, it's Zimbabwe aren't in it.
No, they're not in it, no.
I can't see Afghanistan, West Indies or Sri Lanka making an impact on the top 4, and I would expect England and India to go through, and then you're looking at 2 from Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Pakistan and Bangladesh. Is the sort of 3 groupings I would put the teams in.
But we watched some of that Asia Cup and we saw Afghanistan put up a great fight against India in a game that actually didn't mean that much towards the end. But you've got the likes of Mohammad Shahzad, who can score hundreds, although he's a rather unfit looking character. But now you've got another guy up the top, Zazai, who's got 162 in a 20 over game. You were saying he scored 6 sixes in one.
No, that wasn't me.
It wasn't you who was saying that. Who was saying that then? Someone was, anyway.
I think it might have been Ed.
Okay, it may have been Ed, yeah.
The format is certainly working against them. Now, you might argue that it's a good thing that the format is working against the weaker sides, but they will. I'm sure they will upset 2 or 3 teams, but it's very hard to see them winning 5 out of 9 games. Or
but even
with
skillful bowlers like Rashid Khan and Mujib,
you need 5 bowlers. It's what your 4th and 5th bowlers are going to do.
I don't know, but if you start out with someone like
a good team can play out Rashid and know they've got a lot of filth to play against later.
We have some tweets.
Oh, good! Finally,
right. Okay. So first of all, Cave Llewellyn says, "Calm down, calm down." Kelly Wheeler says, "Have a sympathy tweet on me."
Thank you.
James in Twickenham, what do the current Gorillas think of the 100?
Don't start.
That is opening a can of worms. That is lifting the lid off Pandora's box. It really is. Well, Andy, actually, you're a sort of wait and see man, aren't you?
I'm agnostic on it. Yes, let's wait and see.
I told you to wait and see.
Yeah.
Martin, where do you stand on it?
I think it's change for change's sake, and I think it's been developed by somebody that knows nothing about cricket and even less about marketing.
Great, that's what I like to hear, because I agree with that.
Yep.
I am against it with every fibre of my being. If I could lie down in front of the 100 and prevent it from steamrolling over me, I would do this.
Let me just try to identify the bones of contention. Let me say, if it was just regular T20, you would still be equally against it, or not quite as much?
No, not at all. I'm partly against the idea of franchises as well.
Yes.
So yes, I mean in that instance, I'm also greatly against the notion that these franchises will have no real geographical significance, and that really irritates me, because I think the whole basis of sports, it goes beyond that, obviously it does. You can't look at Manchester City and say everyone's born in Manchester. Of course that doesn't happen anymore, but I do think that sport, the whole context of sport comes from geographical locations.
I agree, but that is using the word "our" to mean cricket fans. It's kind of our fault. It's people going, well, I'm not going to see a team that's in Leeds.
Well, isn't that about it? It's kind of, you have to support...
Or a team that's called Leeds, rather, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think they'd have been better off just attaching them to football clubs, to be honest, if that's what they wanted to do.
That would have been even worse. A team, the North London team was called Arsenal, then, they're ruling out all your Tottenham fans in one go.
That's also partly the flaw in an 8-team event. I suppose the thing about an 8-team event is it would be easier to follow rather than having to follow 18 teams.
It'll be a lot easier. Look, the 8 versus 18 thing, I think, is fairly clear. You just can't follow an 18-team tournament. All of these other T20 tournaments, every game is shown on TV. It's literally impossible to do that with an 18-team tournament. And that's why, it's frustrating to see that someone scored 145 balls in a blast game, but there's no footage of it. Yeah.
Yes, I can see that side of the argument, but one of the things that turns me off, has turned me off domestic cricket in South Africa, not that I was ever greatly into it, but turned me off it is the notion that all these, they're just known as the cheaters, or the I don't know.
That's a bit harsh. I thought
I knew you were going to say. I knew that was coming. But that sort of thing.
And should be an Australian franchise,
and I want
surely.
to say, but what part of South Africa are they in? What part of South Africa are they representing?
They're still the Cape Town Cobras.
Yeah, but they don't really refer to them. They just call them the Cobras. And that just really irritates me. And as a sort of someone coming from outside the South African domestic circuit and wanting to know about it, I should say it looks like it's raining again in Grenada. The clouds have moved in. There's very little blue sky, if any. At the moment, there is a big blue tarpaulin across the square for the time being. So we're not going to get any cricket. So we can rabble on about the.
Yeah. So you're saying for you, it's a bit like Team A, Team B, and Team C.
Yeah. And it's sort of, if you don't have a notion. One of the things I don't know whether it's because I support a small football team and other people support big football teams and don't mind the fact that none of their players come from Leeds or Manchester or whatever. But I think as a football supporter, I've always valued, and I think people, even in these biggest clubs, they value when one of their own comes through.
Oh, totally.
And I'm not sure that we're going to get that with the 100.
I'm just wondering that we sit down and watch the IPL, and those are all franchises from different cities, which presumably cross some of the existing boundaries for the domestic game in India.
Yeah.
And watching that internationally, we don't really mind who's playing who, do we?
Yes.
So is it perhaps part of the marketing strategy for the 100 is that it's aimed outside the country and therefore people that haven't got the allegiances to counties?
That's a very good point as well, I think. Yeah. But then, are we really producing a sport purely for television rather than from live consumption?
Well, we probably are. What concerns me is a little bit is they are so late on this. Even if you want to call it a bandwagon, they are so late on the wagon. T20, the BBL, the Australian Big Bash, really was poor this year.
Yes.
And it looked tired, and they were increasing the number of games.
Yes.
And just getting some really, really poor cricket. The domestic players didn't seem to be as good as they were 3 or 4 years ago for whatever reason. And the timing is such now. I mean, we are literally the last major country to have a franchise T20 league. And, you know, in many ways, the boat is set. I mean, what have there been? 10 IPLs? 11?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
And that is going to, I mean,
you know,
possibly they will think, certainly from a money point of view, better now than never, but it would have been a lot better 5 years ago, but we don't have a time machine. So,
no, and I think...
no, go on.
No, I was going to say, I think it's an interesting point. I think it is the timing is, because we've had a situation where 2 years ago everyone was saying the Big Bash, oh, it's so great, everything is brilliant cricket, blah, blah, blah.
Well, not everyone, to be fair.
Okay, a lot of people. And so everyone was jumping on the bandwagon, and we've got to have the BPL, we've got the IPL, BBL and IPL. And as you say, now... Actually, people are looking at the BBL in particular and saying, has it run out of steam to a certain extent?
Isn't the IPL going to be split before and after the World Cup this year?
No. The only question about the IPL was the election situation. There was talk that it might be in South Africa because of the elections. It isn't going to be in South Africa, but it is starting a lot earlier. It's starting the 23rd of March, whereas in recent years it's pretty much started 8th, 9th, 10th of April, something like that. I don't know whether there's a break in it. They've only released the fixtures for the first 2 weeks so far.
Yeah, and I think the IPL lost a lot of lustre when two key teams were kicked out for cheating, and they invented 2 new teams, and then when the old teams came back, they just threw the new teams in the bin again.
Well, actually, now Delhi have got a new name this year, haven't they? They were called the Delhi Daredevils. But they've been, what are they called now? The Delhi Capitals or something? And we had a team came in from Gujarat a couple of years ago.
The Gujarat Lions and the famous rising puny Super Giants,
which became the Super Giants and then became Super Giant, singular Super Giant as opposed to many giants.
Okay, slight change of subject then. Via Cave Llewellyn.
Yes.
Who's driving to San Francisco stuck in traffic, says, what are the current odds for the World Cup?
Well, the current odds. We'll go to our betting expert,
Last time I looked,
Andy.
England were 3-1 favourites.
Yeah, England are favourites.
Okay,
I think looked quite...
Well, while Andy looks that up, I'll do some more tweets.
Betting that or not. I think that's about right.
Dan Joslin says, to avoid further disgrace, I wanted to let you know that at least this American is currently invading Grenada vicariously via your commentary. Keep it up.
Good point.
Spoil the country, yeah.
Suhail Jan says, get cake.
Get cake.
Excellent idea.
Get cake or Kate?
Cake? No, it was cake.
Yeah, that's a great name. That would be even better.
EDM Larkin, afternoon guerrilla cricket. Listened to as much of your coverage of Afghanistan versus Ireland as I could. Then I had to endure the rugby yesterday. And Pirate Badshah, I think you're overdoing the ages of some of the players you cited. Sterling is only 28, as is Balbirnie, and Dockrell is 26.
Yes.
Seasoned but not ancient.
No, because Sterling came in he was only 18 when he first got into the team, I think.
So this hasn't started, has it?
No, this is from the other night.
Okay.
I'm presuming, yes. Must be.
Okay, well, Sterling just looks so grizzled. And to be fair, yes, Dockrell and Balbirnie. I mean, Dockrell came into the team as an 18-year-old, I suppose. So
17-year-old, I think he was,
been around
wasn't he?
for a while.
Yeah.
Got those odds for the World Cup, and they're not a million miles away from sort of what I was saying. England and England are favourites 9-4, which I think is too thin. India 3-1. Then you've got Australia 11.
Can you explain too thin to me?
It means I wouldn't. It's not enough for me to back them. I think their chances are slightly less than that.
Okay.
You've got Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, and Pakistan, all quite similar, around 8-9-1. West Indies 18, Sri Lanka 40, Bangladesh 66, which I think is a bit long. I think they're at least as good as the West Indies, and Afghanistan 80.
I hear a rumour that Paul Sterling interviewed for the Captain Birdseye job, but didn't get it because he looked too old.
Or because he was already captain of Ireland.
Probably.
Could be Captain Birdseye and captain of Ireland. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah. Colonel Sanders, maybe.
It could be. Yes, he's always been chunky, hasn't he, Paul Sterling? I mean, I think actually when Paul Sterling first came into the team, you expected him to be a better, longer form player than he has turned out to be. And that may be because he's concentrated so much, or especially when he's been playing for Middlesex for so long, he was just seen as purely as a one-day player. I mean, he has had chances in the 4-day game more recently, but I think that he was pigeonholed a little bit, which is unfortunate. But then that's where you can make your money these days.
Considering we're wibbling, does anyone else from the green room want to come in and wibble for a bit?
Have you had enough of have you wibbled?
I think people have had enough of me.
Are you out wibbling? Are you out wibbled?
Probably, yes.
Well, I haven't been on that long, and there've been much longer wibbling sessions than you've done.
Well, I'm a white ball wibbler, Hendo.
Yeah, yes.
These all-day stretches.
Yes, I suppose that's true. Well, yes. If anyone else wants to come in and take part in the conversation, if Ed wants to perhaps come in and give one or two of his views on
life, the universe,
and anything, then very welcome.
So I'm just going to start a new conversation then.
Oh God, you're racing away with them at the moment.
The likes of what we're seeing on the screen. We're watching a replay of a previous. It's the second one day international,
yeah.
right? And Tom Curran has bowled a slow off break, and what I basically wanted to throw up for discussion is, if you bowl all the fancy stuff, but it's still the wrong line, the wrong length, it's going to get panned. Should we actually be encouraging people to keep it simple and just concentrate on areas and lengths?
Yeah, but this one thing I said the other day, this is what Chris Gale does to you when you're bowling, when you're in. If you, like Mark Wood in that first game, just started bowling slot to him rather too much, and he just went out of the park. Right. No, rather, sorry, I do sound Plunkett.
Right.
Plunkett really went out of the park because he was just bowling slot. And then the fact that Chris Gale is murdering anything that's in his arc makes you want to bowl probably too many slower balls and wides on the tram line and this kind of thing. So we are watching Chris Gale batting in these highlights, and I think that's what he does to you. I mean, if you keep putting the ball, especially at Tom Curran's pace, he wouldn't be in my first 11, definitely. He wouldn't really be in my 15. But he's just a bowling machine at someone who's in, I think.
Do you think he's definitely more? You can talk. He's not just an ODI specialist. He's actually more of a T20 specialist. I mean, he's done pretty well in the Big Bash. I mean, both with the bat and the ball.
He kind of did okay. Gurney did better. No doubt about that.
Okay.
I've just never really thought either Curran is that good, and I do think Sam's going to get found out in Test cricket.
Sam has the potential to swing the ball, I think.
He has to swing the ball.
I've seen him swing it even in white ball cricket. I've seen him swing it prodigiously and think, wow, that, particularly with him being left arm. I haven't seen anything as special from Tom yet, but.
Yeah, but the thing with he's quite short and he's not doing it at a lot of pace, so he is so lacking on those natural attributes. It's not impossible. And I mean, Philander can do it, and Abbas can do it. Whether Abbas will do it for 10 years, we'll see. But you have to be very, very skillful to kind of, overcome the fact that he's just really quite small and serves it up full. And
he is, but I mean, you only have to go back to the summer when you got a little bit of juice in the pitch, and England were really struggling. India got off to a great start in their innings, got 50 for no wicket in no time at all, and then suddenly he came on, swung 3 and took 3 wickets just like that.
One game.
It is one game, but he's done more than that. He has done more than that, and not just with the ball, with the bat. I would kind of agree with you to a certain extent about on the basis of his bowling skills, but I also have to say that I think sometimes as a Test cricketer, 90% of it is about your temperament, and I think his temperament for the game is absolutely superb.
Provided you're at a certain minimum level, which I'm not sure he's at.
Well, we'll have to see. We'll kind of disagree on that slightly.
You can't take someone from Gloucestershire Seconds who has a brilliant temperament and put him into Test cricket.
No, but I mean,
I know he's better than Gloucestershire Seconds, obviously, but.
Are you sure?
I certainly. I know it's hard to put a number on it as well, but I wouldn't go 90% temperament.
I think more than anyone I've seen of late that's come into the England side, he seems to have adapted to Test cricket better than anyone I can think of, to be honest. I really do think that. He just seems to have a positive, an attitude that is not, what so often we've seen with England, that they can either defend or they can attack, and they can't find the happy medium. It seems to me that he judges what balls he can hit much better than most England players that I've seen.
I'm still mainly judging him as a bowler.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I mean, bonus runs, that's great, but I'm really putting my marker down. I don't think he's an all-rounder.
And it may also be that, he is generally not a man that you take overseas that much.
Well, I've said this before as well, particularly in Test cricket. Yeah, you should start being a lot more horses for courses. I don't have a problem. I've said this before with taking Keaton Jennings to Asia, and even if he gets 100,
leaving him there,
leaving him there to play Indian domestic cricket. No, and even if he gets 150 in the last test, say thanks very much, we'll see you in the UAE.
Yes.
We're not taking you to Australia.
Well,
similarly, take David Malan to South Africa or Australia. And
well, that would be. I totally agree with you. I mean, I think the problem is that in the past, the way that the management or the coaching team have actually communicated with their players has been poor.
Do we know that, or is that just players?
Well, I certainly think it was. I think it has been true. I don't know whether it is true now. Maybe Ed Smith is communicating better. But if you say to people that we actually, this is what we're going to do with regards to your career, and you make it clear to them, then they can concentrate on that and not feel upset about.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You say to Jennings, you're in pole position when we're going to Asia, but we are not playing you at home or in Australia and South Africa until you get a lot better at playing seam bowling, and that's it, and toughen up a little bit.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think it's all about. I think the man management or the communication needs to be spot on.
Well, it's still better than it was in the 80s.
Oh, God.
Reading you've been dropped on CFAX and whatnot. So still think things are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Any more tweets?
Yes, we do. We have Nakul, who's weighed in on the Afghanistan subject and said they are solidly, this is Afghanistan, in the middle of his World Cup pack. They have a seriously powerful opening partnership with Shahzad and Hazrullah. Rashid Khan has the best average and strike rate for any ODI bowler in history, and Nabi and Mujib are handy players.
What I'm going to say to that, Nakul, is you're talking about their best players, and often it actually comes down to the worst players. Have you got anyone to rebuild an innings from 60 for 4? Have you got what's your fourth and fifth bowler like?
I think that's a very good point. I think that actually that Afghanistan did get found out in that one test they played against India, is that they didn't have the strength in depth and the experience to play the long game.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the game was over so quickly, and it was a huge disappointment that performance from them. But I think in the one-day game, they do realise that they have some strengths, I think. I mean, Rashid Khan is a huge one. Mujib is another one, I think. Those are the bowlers. Of the batsmen, well, I didn't see Sazai the other day, but he must be a bit of a talent. And he'd never done anything quite as good as that at international level.
Scored quick runs, but, again, going to be a bit different.
You've got
Mark Wood and Mitchell Stark. And
yes. Is it a bit like Graham Gooch said of New Zealand in the 80s? It was like facing the world 11 at one end and Catford seconds at the other.
I don't know, because I think actually the bowling is probably their strength, isn't it, really? Although even they scored 278 the other day. Because you look at those two spinners. I guess the other thing is that these guys haven't been around that long, that players may find them out a little bit. I don't think they will, because I think he's just, especially Rashid, is just a genuinely fabulous cricketer.
Yeah, but I'm sure Nakul will agree that it's absolutely criminal that we've only got one associate side to talk about in this World Cup and not 6 or 7.
Absolutely. Not an associate side anymore.
Well, no, true.
Former associate side.
Nakul agrees with you, Andy, about the effect of a batter's aura on bowlers. That's very clear in the T20 on Saturday. Hazratullah was so destructive that Ireland had no idea where to bowl, and suddenly the wides and full tosses and poorly executed slower bounces came in.
Yes, I mean that's absolutely true in that form of the game. I think especially is that because then you'll start thinking of what can I do differently.
When it's difficult to do, but and I think even when the ball is flying around, like Ireland were going for, conceding 15, 20 and over at some points in the middle. It's very it's easy to sit there and stand there at your mark and think, if I bowl slot, it's going to go. But it's also important not to bowl full tosses and wides and no balls. I mean, there was I didn't see it, but I was following it on the text. There was one over that just went 6 wide, 1 wide, and all these wides are just prolonging the agony.
Well, I think the wide has come in so much now because there's this notion of actually if you bowl full and wide, it's quite hard for the batsman to reach it at times, especially if they're already making room for themselves outside the leg stump. We've seen quite a lot of that in one-day cricket now, of people bowling, and you think that's a pile of rubbish, but it's actually a defensive delivery.
Sure.
Yeah, that's actually a baseball technique, isn't it? If you're a pitcher in baseball, you've got the area over the plate to pitch at, which in effect gives you 4 corners to try and hit.
Right.
The idea is that you've got to get the ball to either start wide and come in to hit one of those corners, or to look like it's going to hit one of those corners but then move away,
off.
and then sort of try and outwit the batter.
It's a bit different though, because there's really no penalty for bowling a wide, is there? It's just
there is, because if you pitch 4 balls.
Right, if you do it 4 times, that's a run, effectively.
Yeah,
that's less than a run and an extra ball.
They go to first base. It's a walk on 4 balls.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I must admit I don't really understand a lot about baseball, so I can't comment on that.
I did see a tweet here, actually. It seems to have disappeared. I'm fairly sure it was from Jeff Perkins, actually, that blaming us for the lack of Paul Sterling's long game cricket form because his jingle is so short.
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah, if you'd done him a longer jingle, he would understand the need to stay at the crease for longer. Absolutely, I think you're absolutely right there.
If that had been the case, Ravi Bopara would have been the greatest Test player ever.
You don't think he was?
Fair point.
Well, I mean, he got 300s.
Yeah.
300s. You know, you can look back and you say to a bloke, how good a cricketer were you? And say, well, I got 3 Test hundreds.
Yeah.
Against the West Indies, no less.
3 in an Ashes series.
Yeah, exactly. But didn't do very well at all. But, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, he can put himself alongside Alan Lamb, can't he? 300s against the West Indies in a row.
Is that right? Slightly different West Indies attacks. One
just a little bit.
Yes, I suppose so. Well, we don't know what's happening. Has anyone got any sort of update on the weather in Grenada? Whether perhaps the clouds are lifting?
I've not
parting?
received any updates via Twitter.
No updates.
I'll just have a quick look. I suppose.
See if we can.
If
we can find. Well, I tell you, if you are listening, and doesn't seem to be that many of you at the moment. I'm not even sure whether we're on Crick Tracker today or on Facebook. We've had some trouble with Facebook. They're being idiots, really, saying that we're upsetting people's copyright, which of course we're not doing, because we're not showing the match at all.
More hard rain, it says.
Oh, really?
George,
more hard rain?
The latest possible start time would be 3 p.m. local. I'm not sure what
that's
that is.
7, I think, 7 our time.
That would be a 20 over game.
Oh, dear. Well, I suppose if you are in Grenada, or if you're a local in Grenada, and you've been looking forward to cricket for a few months, there is at least one other of these ODIs in Grenada in a couple of days' time, so you don't have to feel too despondent, but it's kind of disappointing, isn't it? Kind of disappointing.
Yeah, the worst thing about this, from our perspective and from the spectators' perspective, is the constant dangling of the carrot.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Cricket for you.
Yeah,
yes.
you would almost rather it just absolutely pissed it down, and you knew the game was going to be called off.
Oh, I've been there many Saturdays.
Why do you think when we talk about dangling something in front of someone, we go for the carrot? I mean, I wouldn't. If someone dangled
what else do you want to dangle in front of anyone?
A cream egg. I mean, I would go for the cream egg over a carrot every time. I mean, so don't you think dangling a carrot? Was there a world shortage of carrots at one point?
It comes from the metaphor of carrot and stick for a donkey.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Now, I have
seen
a
donkey might prefer a carrot to a cream egg.
Probably.
Yes.
I have seen a slightly more modern or updated version of that metaphor when Shane Warne was trying to get Darryl Cullinan to play on the front foot, and who would have been the keeper? Ian Healy said, "Put a Mars bar down on a length. That ought to do it." That's
true. And I must say, Mars bar. I'm not a big fan of Mars bars, but Mars bars iced creams are very nice.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I miss them a little bit.
It's not looking very. Promising at the moment, is it? I don't know whether we want to continue wibbling to almost nobody out there, or whether you want us to put some highlights. I'm sure you haven't listened to the Warren Dutram interview enough times. I know Messi Jez is a particular fan of that one. I don't know. Well, we could get some other people in to come and do some other wibbling.
A couple more tweets.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get Nestle Boy in here to wibble.
Let's get the bear, Nestle Boy,
we demand more wibblers.
And who else have we got out there? Ed. The bear doesn't want to come in and wibble.
A polite no from the green room.
I don't think that was very polite, but anyway.
Knuckle says Nabi, Najbullah, Hashmatullah, and Gulbadit. Knuckle, you're just making these names up now, just to make me look a prat. Have rebuilt innings before from tricky positions. I agree that there's a lack of depth in the seam attack, and it's unclear even what now would be their first choice seam attack. I'd say mid-table rather than semis. And save Withybush Hospital mofo. I hate the wide slow Yorker. You see it at the death so much in the BBL.
It's horrible, isn't it? It's horrible.
It makes for totally dismal viewing, but it is a batsman's game, so I don't blame the bowlers for doing it. And Pirate Badshah says, if I were a donkey, it's pistachio nuts that would motivate me.
Yeah, the problem is though, pistachio nuts, you have to take off.
Yeah, you do have to shell them.
Shell them first, don't you? Bear's got a suggestion. What is your suggestion, Bear? Give the mic. Give the mic.
What I'm going to suggest is we put on some highlights, but I'm going to stop YouTube and I'm going to stop Periscope because people are just watching highlights on that, and we'll keep the radio station going on. You'll get a notification when we're back on if you follow us.
Right.
And when there's some live stuff, we'll start it all up again and you can come and listen.
Okay, so we're going to play some highlights then.
Okay.
Yeah, just put on some
Give me a
highlights.
second.
We'll just find something on YouTube. What do you suggest?
Let's have something a bit different.
Well, why don't we play an old?
We're talking about Afghanistan.
Yeah, why
Here's
don't we do-
England v Afghanistan from 2015.
Tomo Pollitt suggests
After
if
we
you're
done,
really
yeah.
bored, you can play my West Indian cricketer or 70s porn star game.
No, we're not doing that one. You people. Now, you people, you should remember, you laughed in the face of my initials game. Now, wouldn't you like an initials game to play now? Yes, exactly.
Kelly Wheeler says carry on wibbling.
I don't want to pay for it. That's true. Sorry, Kelly Wheeler said what?
Carry on wibbling.
Carry on wibbling.
And our own Josh has corrected my Mars bar story. So it was about Ranatunga, not Cullinan.
Was it?
Yes.
No, isn't Ranatunga you don't get a runner for being fat?
That was it, yeah. Apparently Ranatunga replied, if you do, I bet David Boone gets there first.
Which is reasonable response, I suppose. On for heckling.
always the way in quotes famous sledgings. You know, the original sledge is always terrible. It's always the responses that are actually good.
But I just thought, really, shouldn't sledging just be seen as heckling? Really,
It's a
form of heckling, isn't it? Really,
heckling, yeah.
So if you can't take a bit of heckling, what are you doing on the stage? That's what I'd say. So what are we playing then? We're going to play England v Afghanistan.
Which I should imagine is from the T20 World Cup of 2015.
Oh, we're going back a few years there, aren't we?
Well, let's see who's on here.
Yep.
Oh, hang on. Could not be used because
Why can't it be used?
Can't find the file. Hang on.
Why can't we find the file back?
I remember when he...
Oh, hang on.
Something's happening.
Let's try this one.
98, 99 at Silverstone.
Who's that? Sounds
very
like Chris
quiet.
Dealey to me.
Very
It's Chris
quiet.
Dealey. That is definitely Dealey. It's
Yeah.
very quiet, but it's Dealey, which is unusual. You wouldn't have thought Dealey was quiet.
No.
He's not renowned for his reluctance in many spheres.
Now as
That's a
an
bit
adult,
better.
I can
Bit
see
more,
that it
bit
was
more.
a massive knock.
That's as high as you can get with Dealey.
So,
Okay. Oh, and it's
Have
Katie.
any of you seen the data?
We should have a listen to it.
Has Moore seen the
Katie's
data?
loud
Have we
enough.
had an interview from him since he's seen the data? Has anyone spoken
Oh, it's
to him
on the data.
about,
We're going back to the
what his
data.
thoughts
Are we?
were on
Back
the
to that
data?
data row.
To the BBC,
I
he
could
didn't
try.
say
Oh no,
data.
that's got
What did
nothing
he
in
say?
it.
Later.
Are you serious?
He did say data when he was interviewed by Sky, but yeah, he was misheard when he...
Okay, we'll leave you with that then.
We'll leave
Okay,
it. All right.
God,
We'll be back when if there's any live cricket.
Well, as long as he did say it once, then it's still
Yeah,
still that
exactly.
legitimate pillar.
Summarises his approach.
Yeah, it came out straight away. The interview, the quote, Andrew Miller was
Exactly.
the first time we picked it up from him, and that was straight away after the game. Wide and short, and Ian Bell plays a comfortable little dab down to third man. Bell is ahead on 19. Hales 13 for 2, except he's still there. England 32 for none off back.
Knuckle Panda says Alex Hales should be 13 for 3.
For 3, even